It started as an idea to give students a voice. That was more than 30 years ago, and boy, has it grown since then. Hi, everybody. I'm FOX61 anchor Tim Lammers. Today, the FOX61 Student News is an award-winning program that gives young people a head start on a multimedia career, not just by teaching them and helping them develop skills, but also by awarding some cash prizes at the end of each school year. In my over 20 years here at FOX61, I've seen a lot of student news stories here on our air. Each week during the school year, we feature a story that was produced, written, and edited by students at Connecticut middle and high schools. Those stories also appear on our website, fox61.com, and on YouTube, making them available to people from all over. We've seen stories on interesting local people, like this one several years ago about a high school student who has a thriving cookie business.
The kitchen, home to years of work to develop the recipe that makes Hudson's cookies what they are today. Hudson has been making cookies since he was age 2, originally preparing them for holidays, family outings, and other special events. With popular demand from many and his love for baking, Hudson made a decision.
I wanted to start this business because when I was younger, my mom and I would make cookies for special occasions like different holidays and sporting events. And there would always just be a lot of compliments on the cookies.
Or this one, about a boxing gym in Norwich.
Boxing is a big part of these kids' lives. It teaches them discipline and the importance of having a routine. Malvin Gonzalez is fairly new to this local world.
Like, without it, I probably would have been in the house eating snacks.
Or this one, about the devastating floods that hit the Southbury area in 2024.
Although it's been weeks since the historic flood that impacted many Connecticut towns, many people are still struggling.
I'm Kathy Dibner, owner of Kathy's House of Chickens here in Southbury. So my poultry barn, I had over 100 birds in there. They're my breeder birds for my business, and unfortunately they all drowned.
For the student journalists, the whole process reinforces skills they can use in any industry, like how to persuade with your story pitches. There's the planning and logistics. Whom will you interview? What video will you get? And then, of course, there's the communication and the critical thinking that goes into interviewing and storytelling. That's what they'll learn along the way. But what students need to bring to the table, and often do, are the most important ingredients. Passion for telling the truth and spotlighting issues, creativity for engaging storytelling, and an endless curiosity about the world and the people in it. You don't need fancy cameras, TV studios, or high-end video editing software. If you've got that passion, creativity, and curiosity, then all you need is a smartphone, a microphone, and some simple editing software to get started. But it helps to have a good teacher, too. And when we come back, we'll hear from some teachers who are leading the students in their classrooms.
Student News is sponsored by Big Y. Big Y, your family market.
And we are back. Each student news program has a teacher who helps to steer the ship. Some lead after-school groups, while others lead full classes. Let's introduce you now to some of the people who make their programs work.
My name is Sheree Fitzgerald, and I'm a teacher at Norwich Free Academy.
My name is Sebastian Fortuna from Berlin High School.
My name is Katie Blake, and I am a teacher at Nonawag High School in Woodbury, Connecticut.
My name is Eric Larson. I teach at Manchester High School.
This is my 4th year part of Student News, and it's my 2nd year with Berlin, but I also taught at a previous school doing it for 2 years as well.
Our first award, which was our first year of participating, is from 1995.
So I've been working with Student News for about 2 years now, so I'm relatively new to the program, but have felt like I've been a part of it for years.
I have been with Student News, I'm going to say since 1999 when I came on board.
It helps bring my curriculum alive. I could talk to my students and teach them all the rules or all the information about how to write an article or how to write how to produce a news package. But until they do it, it doesn't mean anything to them.
When you have a student come in, you might have one that is very excited and knows exactly, what news is all about. But then you have the kid that is been thrown there because the guidance counselor said, well, maybe you'll like this. And many a times I've had that kid that says, I had no idea that I'd be learning something different, getting so much hands-on. and at the end of it all, just becoming a storyteller.
I think what a lot of people see on the surface level is the camera skills, the using the equipment, but in reality, the biggest thing that the students get out of it is going to be the soft skills. So the soft skills with scheduling interviews, conducting the interviews, and being able to talk to somebody to get information, and, talk to somebody with a purpose.
One of the main things that I wanted to focus in on is just how valuable this is. So, people may say, oh, how fun, how cutesy, but this is not. This is an opportunity for our students to be featured on FOX61. This is an opportunity for them to hear from leaders in the industry that give them feedback in real time, where they can go back and make edits if possible, but really to learn from it and understand what's needed in order for them to be successful if this is the career field that they decide to go into.
What really gets to my heart is when I see the student who once said, oh, this is really easy, and then at the end they go, oh, this isn't easy.
I always tell them, go find something in your community, go in and explore. For the most part, what we always see is kids shy with, oh, I'm not sure if I can get that interview, and it's like, well, have you asked? And it builds that confidence, and it builds that self-esteem of, I can do this. I can schedule that interview. I can talk to somebody. I can have that conversation. But not only that, it teaches them that conversational skill of what questions do you ask that are beyond just the yes and no. How do you talk to somebody to get a real answer out of them?
And then you have the students who are nervous about it. They don't think that they can produce good enough work. And then when they do, and they're like, wow. And then they win an award. It's like they're just beaming from ear to ear. And for some of those kids, they may not be academically into school, but they come into my class and they can't wait to get started on their project. They can't wait to go to the interview, and they'll redo the interviews, and they'll go back for more footage, and they're really buying into it. And it just makes those life skills that they're learning and all the content that I teach so much more meaningful.
I really believe you could go out there with a phone and a microphone and do it. Would I want that ultimately? No, I want to be able to say, and I'd want my students to say, imagine what we can do if we had the next set.
You don't have to have all the fancy equipment. Just start doing it. And the best thing that you could do is just go on the website, watch what students in the past have done, and then show the students, okay, what went well with this story? What do you think didn't do well with this story? And show them that and build off of what other teachers have built already.
Our last award, which was the boxing story about a local boxing gym.
Nice shot. Don't have to with the right hand. Follow through with it. It's fully straight when you punch it.
Opening its doors in 2020, Rose City Boxing is a staple for the small neighborhood in Connecticut. Boxing is constantly looked at as a negative or violent sport, but the Rose City Boxing Gym, located in Taffield, is keeping kids off the street and busy.
I had those boys who won last year before last, in class. Talking to them, one of them says, oh, there's this new boxing rink. I go after school and I box. And all I could think of when he was telling me was the visuals of this story. And I go, you really need to do a Fox Student News story about this. He's like, I'm not sure. He came back to class and I said, if you're in my class again, you have to do the boxing story. And I'm not going to accept no. Anyways, they did the boxing story and it ended up winning an award.
One story that comes to mind is the teddy bear toss with the Hartford Wolfpack.
You can find this energy at any Hartford Wolfpack game, but tonight there's a twist. The crowd goes wild with every check, shot, and save. But it's not until one slips past the opposing goalie that the real pandemonium begins.
Students came and said, Mr. Larson, can we borrow 2 cameras? And I'm like, 2 cameras? Interesting. Yeah, we have this really cool idea that we want to go and we want to be prepared. We got an opportunity to have go with the press and actually listen to some of the players. Wonderful. Let's do this. But it's in that moment where you really have to kind of ride that wave with students and really not give them the answer. Let them ride the wave and go with where their heart's telling them.
Well, I had heard about this student's art before, and I'd seen it displayed in the school.
So I wanted to show through that piece the text messages in red and show how hurtful they can be and how they can truly mess with someone's mind.
When we sat down and we started pitching stories back and forth, I was like, what do you think about this? And they're like, yes. Let's figure out a way to tell the story that's still respectful to her privacy and where she can keep it as her story, but we can reach others, which we did because that art therapy studio has received numerous phone calls since FOX61 aired that story saying my child needs art therapy, and because I saw this, now I know where to go for help.
The equipment that we use today is not going to be here tomorrow. And tomorrow what will still be there is the unique story that was told. Be it, through a drone shot, be it through a unique perspective, but at the end, it is really how did they tell that story and what were the techniques that they use to make sure that the audience was intrigued.
When we come back, we'll introduce you to the people behind some of the FOX61 Student News program's biggest success stories and how it's had an impact around the world.
Student News is sponsored by Big Y. Big Y, your family market.
With the explosion of digital media, it's more important than ever to understand the fundamentals of video production, how to build a story with a solid beginning, middle, and end, and how to tell it through both text and video. And as I said before, even if a student doesn't go into broadcast journalism, they can still use the skills they learn in the Student News program in many related fields. Now let's hear from some past and present students who were, and still are, a part of the program.
I'm Will Ripley. I'm a senior international correspondent for CNN, based here in Taipei. I've been in Asia for almost 12 years for CNN and 25 years in journalism, and it all began with FOX61 Student News.
I'm Marcus Roon. I'm the line producer of NBC News Daily.
Caroline Godair, NFA, North Free Academy.
I participated in student news back in 2004.
And of course, at that time, there was no YouTube. We would actually watch the broadcasts on a big screen in the auditorium.
Project Right Choice isn't all about fun and games. Students also spend valuable time doing their homework, which gives them the learning tools that they'll use throughout their education.
So I don't really know how I got the idea, but I think I just started looking up something within women in sports on the internet and came across the Hartford Wolfpack game and then the women's sports night. Got in touch with someone in the Hartford Wolfpack and somehow, and because I saw the theme was women in sports, and then found out that there was a panel and just took off from there.
I knew that I wanted to get into news for a long time from when I was very young, and my school didn't offer a news program or a journalism program, especially while I was in middle school. And so student news was my outlet where I was able to learn journalism at an early age without my school even having a program. And it allowed me that outlet to be a student journalist even when I was as young as 14.
I have incredibly fond memories of being a student journalist, getting involved in the FOX61 Student News program, and then stepping foot into that newsroom and seeing how the sausage was put together and how the newscast was put together, and being able to do my own stories and learn how to write for TV.
First story that I ever went out and reported was a FOX61 student news story. And now I'm working at the national level at NBC, producing a show for more than 1 million viewers every day, putting on stories that I think matter and impact people. And I feel like it goes all the way back to my first story that I was doing at FOX61 Student News, where I realized what goes into every story, what questions you need to ask, and kind of the elements to be able to put together something that goes on TV. And now that's what I'm teaching to others, both as a professor and also to the younger producers that are in the newsroom.
Sports like basketball continue to show developmental growth with the hopes of it not being over anytime soon. Athletes like me finally have the opportunity not only to play at a recreational level, but also at a professional level, all through Advocates in Title IX. From the campus of North Tree Academy, I'm Caroline Dare with Annalise Canales on camera, reporting for FOX61 Student News.
A lot of things I've learned along the way that I never really saw. No one really sees behind the scenes. I've gotten out how to write a formal email. I've known how to, but to learn how to communicate with others and get in touch and respond quickly in a time-sensitive manner. I've also learned how to work with others more and taking their feedback, taking their advice, even though maybe I may not want to hear it.
A teacher can make their own journalism program, their own journalism class as great as it can be, but being a part of FOX61 Student News will take that to the next level because you'll get the backing of journalists from a TV station in the state who can tell you about how things work in the real world. You can also get the opportunity for your students' work to be viewed by a much bigger audience. And I think for me, growing up, that was so exciting. So any teacher who's even considering the idea of starting a FOX61 Student News kind of chapter in their school, I think it's excellent, and it really will allow your students to have opportunities they never would have otherwise, and the student may end up growing up to working at national news.
I'll definitely be at an advantage to just get this experience at a young age in the classroom, and from very supportive teachers who are always there for you, and then other students who are there to help you along the way. I'll definitely have a leg up against people, whether that be internship, because I already have a portfolio already made and I know how to really put together a story and enhance it that other people might not know if they're trying to do this on their own.
Now we monitor social media feeds and see what's breaking on various platforms, and it's there's more video. I mean, back then, you didn't have video for a lot of things. Now, there's video of almost everything. So, but I would say that being part of a newsroom at that time and being taught the structure and the fact checking and the way that you write and with clarity and with accuracy, that was crucial to laying a foundation that helped me learn how to become a storyteller. And still to this day, I still use those lessons in my job as a storyteller. Doesn't mean I'm not trying to evolve and learn new things and learn from creators now as well. It's constantly like, I feel like these days I'm like a sponge and a consumer of all different types of media in many ways, just like I was back then for television. It's like things are changing so much that now I've been able to re-spark some of that passion that I felt all those years ago. So it's interesting to talk at this time because as things are changing so much right now and we're all kind of trying to learn from each other. That's how I felt learning from watching you guys and then being a part of the team as a student all those years ago at FOX61.
We hope you have enjoyed this deep dive into the FOX61 Student News program. It's something we're very proud of, and we hope to keep showcasing these stories that students bring us for years to come. I'm Tim Lammers, and for all of us here at FOX61, thank you for watching.